Hi, this is Dave, and today we are bringing Liguria to the table. This is published by Queen Games, designed by Alessandro Zucchini. This is for 3 to 4 players, plays in roughly 60 to 90 minutes. And in this game, players are going to be trying to earn the most prestige. We're going to do that by selecting a bunch of variety tiles that are going to give us different actions, and we'll be able to upgrade them throughout the game. We're going to be moving around to other players' harbors and sending diplomats. We're going to be conquering islands, and we're going to try to collect this paint to fulfill these bishops' contracts, because Liguria is like the prequel to Fresco. All right, let's take a look at the game, a little bit of how it's played, and I'll come back and I'll share my thoughts. Here I have Liguria set up for 3 players, and let me quickly show you what all we have here. Each player is going to start off with a ship, a harbor board, and a player screen. This one happens to be for Genova. And behind the player screen, players are going to place their little figures that are known as ministers. And also we'll have starting currency. We'll have 1 coin for the starting player, and it increases with the number of where you are in the player turn order. Now, in the center of the game board, we have this game board. There's 3 different sections on there. This is going to be where we have our turn order, and then also is going to determine the number of tiles that we will select. And the tiles that are available are up on the top of the board. And then finally, there's a space along the side where there are different action cards that we can choose from later in the game. Now, the game also has some paint cubes. We've got yellow, red, and blue, and we have coins. Now, the way that's set up for 3 players, we have these different islands that are going to link together between players' harbors, and they are shuffled up and randomly distributed. Now, in a 3-player game, there's going to be 3 islands between each player's harbors, and the rules say that there can't be more than 1 of these blank islands on the board. The rest of them are considered dedicated islands, and there are point values associated with the dedicated islands, as well as a colored cube. But this is worth 9 points. This one over here is worth 3, and you can see around the board that these are randomly shuffled and the scoring is determined. Now, the course of the game, players are going to want to be earning prestige points, and we're going to be doing that by obtaining these different tiles, and eventually we'll be doing upgrades, which I'll talk about shortly. We're going to be moving our ship around from islands, picking up paint cubes and bringing them back. We're going to be fulfilling contracts for the bishop, and we can also take some of our some knights and conquer islands and have control of them, and we can also send diplomats off to other players' harbors in order to earn points. So, as we get into the game, let me talk about what all of that I just explained means. I'll show you a round of how the game works. At the start of the game, starting with the first player and moving in clockwise direction, players are going to start filling in what these are called their buyers from the rightmost space on over. So 3, 2, and 1. And what's going to happen is that these are going to be used and placed along this track above there to determine how many tiles they can take and coins. So you can see it ranges anywhere from taking just 1 tile all the way up to 5 tiles. Now, the trick is we can take tiles from the ones that are on offer, and then between players' turns they're going to be refilled. But sometimes it may seem like, hey, wow, 5 tiles. But when you're drawing tiles, as long as you take them that they're adjacent to each other, that's fine, they're free. But any time that you skip to take another tile, you have to pay 1 coin per space. So, for example, if we wanted to take this scroll and we wanted to go down and grab this wheel, we're going to have to pay 2 additional coins to be able to take that one. So that's going to be kind of the gist of how this is going to go. So, starting with the player on the right, we're going to start sending them off to the number of tiles that they're going to want to take. So let's say, for example, that one wants 3 tiles and a coin. This one will go down here, maybe take 2, and maybe this one just doesn't care and will take 3 coins. And so that is going to determine now what is going to happen for the tiles they're going to select. Now, starting with the leftmost position and moving to the right, these guys are going to carry out their action. So this one says they're going to take 2 tiles and a coin. So the first thing they'll do is they'll take one of their coins and they'll just place it behind their player screen. And then they will select 2 tiles. Now let's take a look at some of the tiles that are out here. We see this sword, and this is going to represent a knight, and the little paint cube is also going to be important for certain islands that this knight may occupy. If you control it, when you go there, you're going to be able to gain additional paint. Now, this next one that has the 2 little sacks, that is going to be like our merchants. That's going to allow us to load up additional paint cubes per turn. The cross is a monk. That's going to be determined, it's going to give you points according to some cards. And then we also have this wheel that is going to increase our ship movement. We also have more of these cards that have the swords. This just represents our knights. And we see with the scroll, this is going to be for diplomats. So if we have the 1 scroll, we'll be able to deploy 1 diplomat onto a player's harbor. Sometimes we can place more, and that's going to be important as we get into how that goes. The next buildings that look like little steps, those are buildings actually, those variety tiles. We'll place those, and eventually we can make them worth more points. And down towards this end here, we have another one with our diplomats with 2. And then also you see this one that has the 3 red cubes and the 5, that's 5 prestige points. That is a bishop's contract, and we will get that by fulfilling those with paint cubes. And again, we have another knight, and then we have open spaces for 4 players. So this purple guy is going to decide, depending upon his strategy, he's just going to choose 2 tiles and get a coin. So we took the coin, and the 2 tiles that he's going to want to do is take this wheel and this the knight. And what he's going to do then is go over to his playing area, and the knights are going to be placed behind his board so that other characters don't know how much military strength that he has. And this additional wheel is going to be placed on his board next to this other wheel, and so we have the ability to sail more. Since we took 2 that were adjacent, we didn't have to pay anything. And now at the end of the player's turn, these are going to slide over to fill in any gaps. And the next player is going to continue to do the same thing. So this green player is going to just take 3 tiles, and they're just going to take this, we'll go with the swords, we'll put those behind the tile. We're going to take 1 of these diplomats, which will also go behind their screen. And then finally they'll take this 1 building, and the building will go over into a space that's on their player board as well. So this will go right here. The other ones go behind their screen. And we close up the gap even more, so we don't really have very many tiles left. And these goes down to 2. And then finally, the orange player is going to take 3 tiles and 1 coin. Not really much to choose from, but we are going to go with this. We want to have a couple of diplomats. We'll put that behind the screen. And we'll take this contract. And we're going to go back and decide that we're going to choose to fill in the space. So we'll just take this one here. Don't want to spend a lot of coins. We don't really have much. We can't afford to do this. So we'll take this monk, and this will end up going down on the player board down in front. And so we move down to our space there. So we have gone ahead and selected all of the tiles at the end of the round. Those other tiles are going to be removed, so there will be new ones that will be coming out. After all the players have selected their variety tiles, the next thing that's going to happen is, starting from the left to right, players are going to be choosing one of these cards to put in front of them and carry out any associated actions. So let's take a look at these cards. Because they have different information, if you see along the top there are values. They're either positive or negative numbers, and each round there has to be at least 1 positive and 1 negative value card out there. And over the course of the game, each player is going to be acquiring 8 cards, and at the end of the game we're going to add up the value of all of those cards, and if the sum is less than 0, you're going to lose 5 prestige points for each number below 0. So we have to really watch. So even though it's good to get out in front with the 4, we're going to talk about this on the bottom, there are paint cubes that you have to put up for offer on your harbor board, and that's going to be a spot where other players can come and pick up these paint cubes that they will be able to do to fulfill contracts. So we really have to watch. And then in the center of the cards are going to be the number of movement spaces that the card offers, and some of the cards will have an anchor on there that is going to allow you to do a stopover action. Now, there are a few additional cards to take a look at. I'm just going to put some out over there so you can see a few different ones. We have this one, and this one. So let me zoom in on these cards so you can see what they do. If we take a look at this one, down at the bottom, it's worth -5, but I don't have to put any paint cubes up for offer, so that's kind of good. It's also going to allow me 3 movement, and it's going to allow me to do what are called upgrades. And I'll talk about upgrading the tiles in just a minute. The other one that we have has this little U-turn. It's going to allow the player to change direction that their boat is running in. So instead of running in one direction, they can turn around and start going backwards. And finally, at this other one, we have the upgrade on there and a stopover with the cubes that are in play. So I just wanted you to see those other types of cubes, or other cards that are available. So let me take these off real quick. And so the purple player is going to choose this first card over here, and they're going to place it in front of their play area. So we'll just put this card over here. It's going to be worth -1, and they are going to carry out the action. So now we will have total movement of the 2 on the card plus what we have on the player board, which is 2. Now, if we had taken something that allowed for an upgrade, we could take any of our tiles and we flip them over to get prestige points, but then we would lose the benefit. So if I decided to do that, I would only have 1 movement, but I would have 2 prestige points at the end of the game, but I'm not able to do that right now. So factoring this in, I'm going to have 2 movement, and that is going to allow me to move my ship. At least those 2 plus the 2 from the card. So I have a total of 4 movement that I have available for me. And so looking at my card and where I want to go, I can choose to move at least 1 up to those spaces. So I can move anywhere from either here, 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 or here. And because I have that anchor, it has a stopover action. So let me talk about the different stopover actions that we have. So if I choose to move my boat maybe only 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, I come up to one of these islands, and if you recall before in the tile selection we had 2 swords, and so if I decided to place this tile down on this particular tile, and then I would take one of my little diplomats out from behind my board, place it on here, shows that I control this now. Because I placed 1 tile down, and there's a yellow cube, I would take 1 cube and I would be able to load it up on my ship. So I would be able to do something like that. Now I control this. Each time that I come around again, because I control it, I'll be able to load up a paint cube. If other players come along there, they won't be able to get paint cubes unless they put out more knights to take control of it. And if another player did that, they placed more knight tiles that had more swords than me, what would happen is my figure would go back behind my screen, and then I would put this behind my screen and have 1 prestige point. So that's one of the other options that we can do. Another thing that we can do is with stopover actions is if I was able to move the 4 spaces, so I went 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm in front of the orange player's harbor. One of the things that I could do is load paint cubes, and that would be based upon the number of sacks that I have on my board. So for example, each one starts off with 1. I would be able to load up 1 of those paint cubes. That is up for offer. So maybe I'll take this blue one here, and I would be able to do that. That's another action that I could do. And the third thing that I could do is if I had a tile that had a scroll on it, like this, I would be able to deploy a diplomat. And so if I was able to do that, I would take this tile and place it on any of these different sections along the board, and I would take one of my guys here, and now he's a diplomat, and at the end of the game I'm going to score points for however many tiles that will be placed here along the game. So if I think that the orange player is going to be wanting to move a lot, then I want to be in that particular spot. Now, over the course of the game, we can place more diplomats on another player's board. Like I could place them again in another spot, but I can't do it on the same turn. And then each time that we go to place stuff on there, like the first player who put one out here just has to pay one diplomat. The next one would have to have 2 diplomats, which would be 2 scrolls, so on and so forth. So it gets to be can be a little bit pricey to do that. But those are the stopover actions that can be done. So after that's done with that particular card, I forgot we had to put this 1 cube out on our board for offer. Then this would go behind our screen, and we'll face down to keep track of that. And so each player is going to go ahead and take all of their cards, carrying out actions, putting cubes up. So these cards will be all taken at the end of the game. So what's going to happen then at the next round is all of these tiles will be removed, and there will be new ones that will be placed out. New cards will come out, and we're going to continue this around. Now, one other thing that I did not mention if we have a stopover action is that if our boat, when we move around to our harbor, if there's a bunch of cubes on there, for example, let me just load this up. I'll just put some cubes on here. Like, here's a red, 2 reds, maybe I had a couple blues, and I had like 3 yellows. If I had this on here and I happen to have this particular stopover action, like if I place this card and I was able to move in here, I would be able to unload all of these cubes, and I would put them behind my screen. And so I will be able to do that for fulfilling contracts for the bishop. So for example, this one I'm going to need, eventually at the end of the game, I'm going to need to have 3 cubes. So that's going to be important. We're going to take a look at the end of game scoring, just to give you an idea of what things are going to look like. And we're just going to focus on this orange player's area to show you what things are going on. So I'm going to move this screen out of the way. And one thing that I did not talk about before was these monks. And the monks are going to be worth positive values when determining our card numbers. So if we upgrade them, they're worth 2. So right now I have a positive 4 that I'm going to be able to add to my card. So it's going to help offset any negatives that I have. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at any of our upgraded tiles, and we're going to add them all together. So we have 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 5 is 13, 14, 15. And then we're going to go through all of our cards and see if we come out with a positive or negative. So we have 2, minus 3 is minus 1, plus 2 is 1, minus 4 is minus 3, plus 4 is 1, plus 1 is 2, plus another 2 is 4, minus 2 is 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards for all of the rounds. So we come out in the positive, plus I actually had more that I could add on there. That's not going to make much of a difference, just help me out that way. So we didn't lose any prestige points. Next, we're going to look at any islands that we control. And so, for example, like if I control this one, I'm going to get another 9 points. So we already have our 15 plus 9 is 24. And then if we look over in this other section, I have a diplomat there, and so I'm going to get 2 prestige points per variety tile that is that are going to be in that row. So in that case, I would get 4 points. Now, I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I have some bishop contracts that I'm going to assign cubes from that I have before. So let me move this out of the way. And we'll start off with this one. This needs to have 3 red cubes, so I'll do that. That's worth 5 points. This small one needs a blue and a yellow. That's going to give me 3 points. And I go over here, I need to have 3 red and a yellow. That's going to give me 7 points. And these leftover cubes, if I can form a complete set of a red, blue, and yellow, is going to give me 3 additional points. So I'm going to get points there, and I'm going to get 1 point for each of my conquered knights. I had a couple of them here. And so what I'm going to do then is add up all of the prestige points, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most is the winner. All right, you had a chance to see a Liguria in action. You saw like around what it would look like and the actions that are available. Essentially what we're going to do is select the variety tiles, draw a card, and then move our ship around and carry out any actions. We're going to do that 8 times throughout the game. And so as the game progresses, things get very, very interesting. So let's talk about this though. Production quality, as with all Queen games, they do a really, really good job. Nice thick tiles, everything punched out really, really well. Nice wooden bits. I like the box art on this one. The art on the rest of the components is decent. It's functional. Nothing that's really like, wow, this is like the greatest artwork ever. But the game still does look attractive on the table. It's more of a functional artwork because we just have like small tiles. And the cards just basically have some symbols on there. And that is pretty much about it. Rules, very, very well written. You're going to be just like, I think, 8 pages to read, and you're going to be up and running in no time. Now, the theme is pretty much pasted on. It's supposed to be this prequel to Fresco, and it's all about this paint, and sure, we talk about paint in the game, but it really just seems to be about going around collecting up cubes and matching them up to contracts and fulfilling them. So it could have been anything they just chose to use to make this for Fresco. It's not uncommon in Euro games to be lacking of theme. We're relying more on the mechanics to carry the game, and that's what's going to happen here with Liguria. The mechanics are what carry this game. And so I want to talk about that because I really like the blend of different mechanics and put together in this game, and it works really, really well because we've got this blend of different things. We've got drafting, we've got area control, and mix in with some resource management, and also a lot of the choices are always going to be about this risk versus reward. And that is one of the things that's going to challenge you each time on your turn. It's like, okay, when it comes to my drafting the variety tiles, okay, how many do I want? Do I want to take a bunch of them, be okay with them clumped together, or do I have the money to be able to scatter around and take the ones that I want? Knowing that the further I am to the right on the number of tiles I take, the lower I am going to be when it comes down to selecting the action cards. So I have to think about that. Or do I just want to take 1 or 2 tiles and get first choice at the actions because there might be something out there that I really, really want? So those are the things that you have to think about that way. And then when it comes down to selecting the action card, it's like, all right, I have to look at the value of the card with positive and negative. Am I prepared to counter all of the negatives to be able to do all the cool stuff and not have to put a lot of paint out? Or am I okay with taking something in the positive, but I'm putting out more cubes for my opponents to pick up? Those are the different things that you have to think about. And I really like that you know, it challenges you that you know, from turn to turn throughout the game in each of the rounds. And then, you know, now we're going to, you know, once we do all that stuff, then we come into, you know, we've selected our tiles, what's our strategy going to be? And then having to worry about area control and making sure that, you know, do I want to control the islands? Yes, I want to get those knights and go out there and do that. Do I want to be able to earn points off of what my opponents are doing? Yes, I want to send my diplomats out. So those are things that I have to think about as well. And then I also have to think about on my turn, you know, what are the things that I'm going to want to do? And then when I select the cards, I want to upgrade them because I want them to be worth more prestige points. So we've got those things to worry about. And then also with all of that going on, I need to make sure that I have cubes to be able to bring back to fill contracts for the bishop so that I can get even more points. So you're really watching all of these different things that are going on, and the game is a little bit of a point salad, and the game essentially turns into a fancy pick up and deliver game that is scattered with a couple of different elements like the area control in there, and then also sending your diplomats out. And those are cool things too, because as you're moving around the board, it's like if you control islands, you can go by, pick up some paint, you know. Also, if you stop off at a harbor, you know, it gives you some things to do. If you have a card that's going to allow you to do a couple of different actions on there, sure, you're going to want to go over and maybe drop off a diplomat at somebody else's harbor and also pick up some cubes. So those are things that you know, you're going to be doing throughout the game. I really found this to be an enjoyable game, and it's also something that it's not overly complicated that like younger players not going to, that they're going to be completely washed out. I believe that it says ages 12 and up, and I think that it's about right. I mean, if somebody's been playing games for a little while, this is a good one to add to the collection. I don't think that it's a gateway game. There's a little bit more that's going on, but it's not too complex. I think it's going to be enough that a family can still enjoy it, but it's also going to keep a gamer engaged as well. One of the negatives, though, probably with this is the fact that it is 3 to 4 players. So the game is not going to accommodate 2, and even with a dummy player, it really wouldn't work. So I think that's the one thing with Liguria that is going to have working against it, is the fact that it does not accommodate 2 players. But if you have a playing group that, if you have playing with 3 or more, and you enjoy a good Euro game that has a lot of different stuff going on, and this even has a little bit of that player interaction by going over and area control and taking over an island out from another opponent. It's not harsh, but because if they end up taking their tiles back, you're going to get at least 1 prestige point, but still it adds a little bit of player interaction with the area control. Then Liguria would be something that you're going to want to check out. So, all right, that's it for now, and join me again next time as we bring another game to the table. Bye-bye.